Hi guys, my name is Rushali and I'm here to teach you CA Foundation Law for May 2024 examinations. I'm associated with Hari Academy to teach you CA Foundation Law. Here we are going to cover the entire syllabus of CA Foundation Law and prepare for May 2024 examinations. Along with the chapters, we'll be also discussing the questions given over there, the concepts, provisions, writing practice, all these things we are going to do for this subject, and we are going to target that we score maximum marks in this particular paper. Okay? Let's begin with the introduction of the subject and what chapters are there to be covered we'll be seeing now. So this is our syllabus for today, which we are going to discuss CA Foundation Law. This is the content which we have in our CA Foundation Law module. We have 7 chapters over here, starting with the chapter Indian Regulatory Framework. Next, we have Indian Contract Act 1872, and then we have Sale of Goods Act 1930, Indian Partnership Act, a chapter associated with it, that is the Limited Liability Partnership Act 2008, and the Companies Act, this the 6th chapter, and the Negotiable Instruments Act 1881 is our last chapter for this curriculum. These all 7 chapters we'll be trying to cover in the maximum best possible way. We'll be trying to cover all the questions given by the institute. I'll try to give you more questions for practice, and with that practice we are going to score the best marks in this particular subject. Okay, with the chapters, when we see Indian regulatory framework law, this subject is new for CA Foundation students. You're going to study it for the first time law. So we'll be seeing what is the regulatory framework of India, how things are going to work, what is the judicial system. We'll be learning about all these things in our first chapter. Let's not take much of your time and we'll start with the first chapter, Indian regulatory framework. Okay, now what is law? We are studying the subject business laws, our paper number 2, containing 100 marks, where we'll have to see what is law. This is the first thing we need to learn, right? So, Indian regulatory framework, chapter number 1 of business law contains the first definition, what is law? Law is a set of obligations and duties. Obligations and duties. So we are obliged. Obliged means we have to do some particular task. We are compulsorily going to perform the task, right? That is our obligation. And duties, these are our responsibilities imposed by the government for securing welfare. These things, law is imposed by the government for securing welfare so that we, the citizens of India, are going to benefit out of it, are going to progress out of it. And it is for providing justice to the society. It is going to provide the justice to the society. We hear this sentence every time, I'll see you in the court. Why? Because the people trust on our judiciary system, which provides justice to the society. That's why law is important. On the basis of law, the cases are filed, the cases are presented in the court and won. Justice is provided on the basis of laws, right? So, law is a set of obligation and duties imposed by the government for securing welfare and providing justice to society. This basic definition we all should keep in mind. Okay. Indian legal framework reflects the social, political, economic. We have the 3 words: social, political, economic, and cultural aspects of our vast and diversified country. Knowing that India is a country where there are multiple languages, we say that we have a diversified country, right? So, this regulatory framework is reflecting the social life of the people, political affairs of the people, economy of the country, and including all the cultural aspects of our country, right? That is what they have said about Indian regulatory framework. Now, this law, you will be thinking, how is this law? How did this law come in question? Who created? What is the source of law? Who is going to write the laws? So, we are going to see the sources of law now. Now, the main source of law in India are the constitution, the statutes or laws made by the parliament and state assemblies. precedents of the judicial decisions of various courts, and some cases established by customs and usage. They have said that our constitution is based on various, our law source are various things. Constitution, as we have already heard, Constitution of India. This is the basic of preparing the law. In Constitution, they have provided you the rights, the responsibilities, the roles of the citizens of India, right? This is the first base, this is the first source of creating the law. Then they have statutes or laws made by the parliament. The laws which parliament has made, on the basis of this, other laws can be formulated. Parliament and state assemblies also prepare the presence of the judicial decisions. That means whatever judicial decisions were taken, we have to take extracts from that, and from this law is created. Suppose a Supreme Court passes a judgment, that judgment will become a law, right? So that is what is mentioned over here. Precedents of the judicial decisions of various courts and some cases established by customs and uses, by regular practices, that is a custom followed everywhere, so that also becomes a law. Okay, I hope source of law is clear. The Constitution of India, statutes or laws made by the Parliament and state assemblies, precedents of the judicial decisions of various courts, and in some cases established customs and usages. Suppose this is a custom that human Hindu bodies are given fire, or they are burnt when their person is dead. And Muslims, the body is kept into the ground, like they are grounding them. And in Christian religion also, if they are going to follow the same custom, so this is a custom, this is a usage that has been done from ages, that is going to be followed, right? It is the 4 points that you need to remember: the constitution, then the statutes or laws made by the parliament and state assemblies, precedents of the judicial decision of various courts, and the fourth one, which you have to remember: some laws are established on the basis of customs and usage, like the Hindu Succession Act or the Muslim laws. All these things are based on the customs and usages. I hope we are clear till here. Okay, let's proceed further and see what they have said. Now, India is a parliamentary democracy. We have democracy in our country, and it is governed by the parliament, right? We have a constitution, which is the basis and source of all the laws. Constitution, as we read earlier also, constitution is the basis and sources of all the laws. Then we select our representatives of the parliament as well as the legislative assemblies. By the elections, we are going to elect the parliament and legislative assemblies members, who are the person who are going to belong over there. Then these representatives of people make the laws. Laws are made by representatives of the people in parliament or in their law-making body. If they are in the parliament, they'll be making it over there, or in the state assemblies. Okay. So parliament is the ultimate law-making body. When a law is to be prepared, a draft is taken, which is passed in both the houses of parliament, and then that becomes a law. Law passed by parliament may apply throughout all the portion, throughout all or a portion of India. If the parliament wants to make the law for the entire India, they can make the law for the entire India. If they want, they can just make it for some portions. Suppose we consider as only for the north portion, as only for the Jammu and Kashmir. So this is also applicable, that it can make the law for the entire nation or a part of the nation. Whereas the laws passed by state assemblies or the state legislatures apply only within the borders. So, if the laws are prepared by state legislatures, this is going to apply only to the concerned states, not to the other states. If any law is prepared in Tamil Nadu, it is going to be followed in Tamil Nadu only, right? If anything is prepared in Gujarat, so it is going to be followed in Gujarat only. Government of India 1935, passed by the Parliament of the United Kingdom, is the procedure of the Constitution. Now, we have to see what was the basis for Constitution. The Government of India Act that was passed by the UK Parliament of the UK, Parliament of the UK in 1935. That is a precursor of the Constitution of India, the foundation or the base, or you can say reference for Indian Constitution to be prepared. It defined the characteristics of the government from unitary or to federal. Powers were distributed between center and state to avoid any disputes in 1937. Now, what they have said over here, the Government of India Act 1935, passed by the Parliament of the United Kingdom, is the precursor of the Indian Constitution of India. So, this Government of India Act 1935, passed by the Parliament of the United Kingdom, is the precursor of the Constitution of India. Government of India Act 1935 was the basis, or you could say this was the foundation for the Constitution of India to be prepared. It defined the characteristics of the government from unitary to federal. Now, it defined the characteristics of the government, how the government should be. It was unitary earlier, now it became to federal. Powers were distributed between center and state. We see here also today, even the powers have been distributed to center and state because there should not be any discrimination or any disputes between the people. So the powers have been distributed to center and state. Some decisions are taken by the central government, some are taken by the respective states, because we do not want to pressurize or put a lot of burden on the center. So on the state basis, the governments have been set up. In 1937, federal court were established and had the jurisdiction of appellate, original and advisory. In 1937, this judiciary federal court was established. It had the power of where you can file the appeals, where original cases can be filed and advices also can be given. Okay. The power of the appellate jurisdiction extended to civil and criminal cases, whereas the advisory jurisdiction was extended with the powers to federal court to advise Governor General in matters of public opinion. What they have said, powers of the appellate jurisdiction. Now, it had all the things to be here, and this federal court was going to take care of all the things. With the appellate jurisdiction, what they had, they will be dealing the cases, or they will be addressing the appeals for the cases of civil and criminal only. Only civil and criminal cases, appeals will be taken care of. Whereas they are going to give the advice to the Governor General. Advisory system also was the federal court. These advices will be given by the federal court. So they'll be giving the advices to our Governor General in matters of public opinion. Suppose there's a dispute about construction of some building. This is a public opinion thing where people are arguing and they want a decision in the favor of the public, or the people are arguing on matters for construction of a temple or construction of some building. Then this becomes a public opinion question. In such cases, the advice will be given by the federal court, which is going to give the advice to our Governor General. The federal court operated for 12 years. This federal court operated for around 12 years. This is something you should remember. Federal court operated for 12 years. Okay. And heard roughly 151 cases. In 12 years, they heard 151 cases. Right? The federal court was supplanted by India's apex court, the Supreme Court. Federal court was replaced, it was supplanted by India's current apex court, current highest court, that is the Supreme Court of India. Right? So, Supreme Court of India became the federal court. The federal court was replaced by the Supreme Court of India, that is our apex court or the highest court in India. I hope we are clear till here. Let's go ahead. The Constitution of India 1950 is the foremost law that deals with framework within which our democratic system works and our laws are made for the people by the people. Constitution of India is the foremost law. This was the first law made after we got our independence. This was the first law made for the nation, and it was made for the people and by the people. The democracy which we have in our country came into effect when it was made for the people and by the people. The Constitution also provides for and protects certain fundamental rights of citizen. Constitution gives you fundamental rights and it protects the fundamental rights of citizens. It also lays down fundamental duties as well as the powers and duties of government, both central and the state. It also lays down the duties of the normal Indian citizens and also the duties of the governments, including your central and the state. Laws in India are interconnected with each other, forming a hybrid legal system. All the laws in India are going to be interconnected. And this constitution is going to be the major one giving how we have to frame the laws. It is going to be the major source of making any law. People who wrote constitution decided to divide the law-making power between center and state. People who wrote the constitution divided the law-making power between center and the state. Now, central government can make their own laws, state governments can make their own laws. Now, we saw there is, have you heard about this word CGST, SGST, UTGST? Now, CGST is made by central government, SGST is made by the state government, and UTGST is made by the union territory governments. Right? So, these powers had been divided between center and the state. So, the Indian Constitution has three lists. Now, our Indian Constitution has three lists. One is the central list, then we have our state list, and then we have our joint list. Now, central list, state list, and joint list. Central list is one where the laws will be made only by the central governments. State list is something where state governments only can make the laws. All the sections or all the things that they have provided, on these things only state government can make a law. On these things only central government can make a law. And there is one more list called as joint list, in which the points mentioned over there or the places mentioned over there where the laws can be made by both central and state. There should be union of both while making laws on center and state. On all the points given in the joint list, central government and the state government will come together to make the laws. I hope these points are clear. We have three lists in Indian Constitution which are central, state and joint list. Central, state and joint list. Okay. Central list, state list and joint list. Depending on the list in which it figures, a matter would become the subject for central law or state law. That's what we discussed. That depending what matter it is, if it is mentioned in the central list, it will be made by the central government. If it is mentioned in the state list, state government will make the law. For example, they have said income tax is a central subject. Income tax is one law made by the center for the entire India. So throughout India, all the people are going to follow the income tax law, which is implemented by central government through Ministry of Finance. We are going to see what is Ministry of Finance and how it is, what are all the contents of Ministry of Finance. We are going to see here. Okay. We also have matters for which both central as well as state governments can pass the laws, and it is contained in the joint list. Levy of stamp duty. We might have heard from our parents or from our elder siblings who are working in something related to the registration of the flats or buildings or any of the land. We might have heard of stamp duty. So, levy of stamp duty is an example which is in the union list on which central and state government both can make the laws, both can pass the laws. I hope till here we are clear that the central and state governments, how they function and what is the source of law. Right now, let's see how the law is made. I gave you a brief idea that when a law is proposed, it's passed for discussion and debate in both the houses, in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. First, it goes to Lok Sabha and then is passed to Rajya Sabha. They have to get the assent of both of them, and then it has to be sent to the assent of President. President is the final authority who gives the assent. When approval is received by the President, the law gets notified by the government in the official Gazette of India. The law will become applicable from the date mentioned in the notification as an effective date. Once it is notified and is effective, it becomes Act of Parliament. Let's see official Gazette. I'll just show you official Gazette of India. Give me 1 second. Here we can see this is the official Gazette of India. In this, an act of parliament is published, and the date which they mention that is it is effective from this date will be the date from which this law will be applicable for the India or any portion where they have given or for the state that they have mentioned. So this is how the official Gazette of India looks. Okay, published by the authority Bharat Rajpatra, the Gazette of India. This is how it looks, published by the authority, and they've mentioned the authority which has published this particular gazette. It needs to be registered. There's a specific registration number over here. Okay, I hope official Gazette of India is clear to you. Now we'll get to the content again. Now, when a law is proposed in Parliament, it is called as a bill. When law is proposed in the House of Parliament, it is called as bill. That is not law when it is proposed. Now, we are just taking out a proposal. We are just asking the confirmation of everyone. So, it is a bill over here. After discussion and debate, the law is passed by the passed in the Lok Sabha. First, it goes to the Lok Sabha, that is the first house of parliament. Then it is passed in Rajya Sabha, that is the second house of parliament. It then has to obtain the assent of President of India. I told you that it is going to be presented to the President of India after it has got the approval of both the houses of parliament. Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, when it has got the approval, then it goes for the assent or approval of President of India. Now, finally, the law will be notified by the government in the publication called the Official Gazette of India. We just saw what is Official Gazette of India. Law will become applicable. The law will become applicable from the date mentioned in the notification as the effective date. Whatever date is going to be mentioned in the notification, from that date only the law will become applicable. Suppose they give 4th of February as the effective date. So from 4th of February, the law will be applicable. Once it is notified and effective, it is called an act of parliament. When it gets notified and it becomes effective, it is called as act of parliament. I hope the lawmaking process is clear. They can ask you a question based on this, and this is a very simple thing, yet a very important question which they can ask you. Now, moving ahead, now law we have discussed. Now, there can be n types of laws, like what are laws, how they are categorized. This is a thing which you might be curious about. Let's see what are types of laws in our Indian legal system. The laws in the Indian legal system can be broadly classified in this following particulars: criminal law, civil law, common law, and the principle of natural justice. Let's see each one of them. Criminal law is concerned with laws pertaining to violation of rule. What they've said, violation of the rule of law or public wrongs which the people are doing, that is going to be considered as the criminal law. The laws made for this punishments for wrongdoing, for public wrongs which one has done, violating the law. When you have violated the law, for example, doing rape, murder, cheating, or crime, so all these things get covered under criminal laws. Criminal law is governed under the Indian Penal Code 1860 and the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973 CRPC. These are some other laws under which criminal laws are covered. Here in these two particular laws, the criminal laws are given. Indian Penal Code 1860 defines the crime. IPC, you need to remember this. IPC is going to define the crime. This gives you crime. Define the crime, its nature, what kind of nature, and punishment. Whereas the Criminal Procedure Code, which is CPC, defines exhaustive procedure for executing the punishment of the crime. Suppose there's a crime of murder. What is the definition of murder will be given in IPC? Punishment for murder. If the murder has been done by a person, he should be given 5 years of jail. That is mentioned in IPC. How this jail has to be executed is given in CPC. In which jail this person is to be sent, what are the procedures of sending them to the jail, how this case is to be presented, all these things are given under CPC. So they have given one more, they have given all the examples of criminal offenses, which is murder, rape, theft, fraud, cheating, and assault are some examples of criminal offenses. There can be more examples of criminal offenses, but they have mentioned over here few of them for you to remember. Okay, I hope criminal law is clear. When someone is doing wrong or violating the rules of the law, that is said to be done under the criminal law. And for this, it is governed by Indian Penal Code and Criminal Procedure Code 1973. Indian Penal Code 1860 defines what crime is, then it gives us the nature of the crime, the punishment that should be given to the person who is culprit. And when we come to CPC, that is the Criminal Procedure Code, they'll give you the procedure, how you have to execute the punishment of the crime, which jail is to be taken, which laws are to be referred. All these things are given in the CPC, that is Criminal Procedure Code. We are going to be using the short forms. Indian Penal Code can be used as IPC, and for Code of Criminal Procedure, we are going to use CRPC. Okay, you'll find this word often in the context. Be aware of that. Then this where some issues where violation has been done or public wrong has been done. We'll be coming forward to civil laws. Matters of dispute between individuals or organizations are dealt under civil laws. Now, there was an agreement or there was some contract between two people. There was an agreement that this person will sell 5,000 rupees worth goods and he'll be giving 5,000 rupees. They did not sell, or this guy got the goods but did not pay the money. So, this is a dispute between individuals. Or there can be disputes between two companies or one company and an employee. These all things are covered under the civil law. When it is a dispute between individuals, the human beings, or organizations, which can include company, partnership, or LLP, it can include your trust, etc. All these things, all these matters are covered under the civil law, right? I hope this one is clear till here. Civil courts enforce the violation of certain rights. They enforce that one has, if someone has violated certain rights and obligations through institution of a civil suit. If someone has violated certain rights and obligations, then they'll be liable for a civil suit or civil proceeding will be taken against them. Civil law primarily focuses on dispute resolution. It primarily focuses on dispute resolution, how these disputes are to be resolved, how solution is to be given, rather than punishment. There is going to be punishment, but how these things can be settled by mere talking or giving the compensatory money, that is covered in civil law. The act of process and the administration of civil law are governed by the Code of Civil Procedure CPC. Now, there we learnt about Code of Criminal Procedure CRPC. Here we are going to learn about Code of Civil Procedure CPC. Right? So, the laws that are given, the act of process, and how we have to administer a civil law, all these are governed under CPC, Code of Civil Procedure 1908. Civil law can be further classified into law of contract, which we are going to study. Family law for all types of families, Hindu family, Muslim families, there are laws given. Property law and law of tort. Property law and law of tort. We'll be seeing them in detail further. Property law relating to properties, relating to house, building, land, or any of the values which are property of other people, they are covered under the property law. Law of tort, where they are protecting you from doing something wrong, this is called as law of tort. Where Motor Vehicles Act also is covered over here. There can be a dispute between you and the policeman, the traffic policeman, so this is covered under the civil law. Some examples they have given of civil offenses, we'll be seeing them. Breach of contract. As I told you, there was an agreement or contract made between two people. One of them did not fulfill the contract. There was breach of contract. It is going to be dealt under civil law. Non-delivery of goods. As I told you, there were goods sold for 5,000, but this person did not deliver the goods. He got the payment, but he did not deliver the goods. That is also covered under civil law. Non-payment of dues to lender or seller defamation As I told you that someone had an agreement, A and B had an agreement. A was going to sell goods for 5,000. He sold the goods, he sent the goods, but B did not pay the money. That is non-payment due to lender, non-payment of dues to lender. Or seller defamation. Seller defamation. If someone spoils the name of the seller, that also comes under the civil law. Breach of contract and dispute between landlord and tenant. We have seen some people have their houses on rent. So when there is a dispute between the landlord, the person who gives the place on rent, and the tenant, who is the person residing in that house as a tenant or as someone who is renting the apartment or flat, that is called as tenant. There is a dispute between this landlord and tenant that gets covered under civil laws, right? So for summing up the civil laws, we can see that when disputes are between individuals or organizations, these are dealt under civil law. Civil courts enforce violation of certain rights and obligations. If the person is obligating or he is not following the laws, someone is violating the laws, then it comes under your civil court and civil suit is filed over there. Civil law primarily focuses on dispute resolution. Punishments are not the major thing, or it is not the primary focus of civil law. Major focus or primary focus is to give solution, to resolve the dispute, to make the people come on the same page where they have one solution for the problem. Then we know which law governs them. Civil law governs them. Code of Civil Procedure, CPC 1908. Then we saw the laws that are covered under civil law, which is law of contract, family law, property law, and law of tort. These are the four classifications of the laws under civil law. Some civil offenses are breach of contract, non-payment for the goods that they have purchased, non-payment to the banks, non-delivery of the goods, seller defamation, dispute between landlord and tenant. All these things get covered under civil law only. I hope criminal and civil, both the things are different and are very much clear to you people. In criminal, some wrong has been done or rules have been broken, the laws have not been followed, and there is punishment also that becomes criminal law. Civil law, dispute between individuals or organizations where the major primary focus is on giving the resolution. That is your civil law. Okay. I hope the first two types of the laws are clear. Let's go ahead and see the next two. Common law. A judicial precedent or a case law is a common law. Suppose a judgment was passed by the Supreme Court of India, as I mentioned you earlier also, that a judgment was given by Supreme Court of India that is going to be binding on the entire territory of India. If a judgment is given by Supreme Court, it is binding on the entire of India. That becomes your common law. Judicial precedent, that is a judicial statement, judgment passed by the authorities of India, legal system of India, right? As they have mentioned over here, a judgment delivered by the Supreme Court will be binding upon the courts within the territory of India. All the courts in India will have to follow the judgment given by the Supreme Court. Under Article 141 of the Indian Constitution, doctrine of stare decisis is the principle supporting common law. There's a doctrine of stare decisis which supports principle of common law that if a judgment has been given, all people have to stand by it. It is a Latin phrase. Stare decisis is a Latin phrase which means to stand by that what is decided, that which is decided. If Supreme Court has decided that the citizens of India will have to follow this particular law, then Supreme Court has given this judgment, and all the courts which are below the Supreme Court, which don't have that higher authority, will have to follow, which is the High Court and District Courts. Special courts, magistrate courts, metropolitan courts. We'll be learning all these courts further. All the courses and all the people of India have to follow the judgment passed by the Supreme Court. That becomes a common law. The doctrine of stare decisis reinforces the obligation of courts to follow the same principle. All the courts have to follow the same principle or judgment established by previous decisions while ruling a case where the facts are similar or on all four legs with the earlier decision. That means all the contents are same in that case, then they have to follow. Let's take an example. For common law, if Supreme Court has given a statement that if someone rapes a woman or murders, if someone rapes a woman in a public transport vehicle, then if there is a punishment of 7 years to that person. Listen carefully. Supreme Court has passed an order that if someone has raped a woman in a public transport vehicle, then they have to face the punishment of imprisonment for 7 years. Now, this was passed by Supreme Court. In High Court of Bombay, the Mumbai High Court, same thing, same kind of case was there where a man has raped a woman in a public transport vehicle in the Mumbai local bus, right? This person is going to be given the same treatment. He is also going to be enforced with the 7 years of imprisonment because it was passed by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court is the highest authority. Whatever they give the judgment becomes the law. It becomes the common law. It is going to be followed by all the cases, by all the people on all the courts that are there. If the facts are similar, the things which are mentioned or the case that has been mentioned is similar or on all four legs means that all the situations are same to it, right? Then it becomes a common law. When all the lower courts and all the people of India are going to follow it, it becomes a common law. Judgment passed by Supreme Court will become a common law. That's the common law. That's the third type of third type of law which we have learned. Now, last type of law which we will be learning is principles of natural justice. Natural justice, often known as just natural, deals with fundamental principles of justice going beyond written law. It is not written, but this is natural justice. We know that if some dog is there, stray dog is there on the road, we do not harm it. That is natural justice towards the dog. We do not throw stones towards it. If they're not doing anything to us, they're not harming us or barking on us, we do not have to disturb them. That is the natural justice pattern. Let's see what they have given. Natural justice, often known as just natural, deals with certain fundamental principles of justice going beyond written law. Something which is beyond the written law are dealt with principles of natural justice. Nemo judex in causa sua, literally meaning no one should be made a judge in his own cause. If I have done something wrong, I cannot be the judge of my own wrong. Someone else is going to judge me. That is what they have mentioned as nemo judex in causa sua, literally meaning no one should be made a judge in his own cause. No one will be made a judge of their own cause. If I have done some wrong, if I have done a murder, I cannot be the person who is going to judge me. There should be someone else. There should be another judge who is going to judge me. And it's a rule against prejudice. Someone can't do this. It's a rule that if you have done something wrong, you cannot be the one who is going to judge you. Audi alterum partem, literally meaning hear the other party or give the other party a fair hearing. If I have done a murder and someone files a case against me, if A has done the murder of B, let's take an example over here. Now, A murdered B and C is the family of B. C is the family of B, right? C files a case. C has filed a case. Now, C will have to give and the court will have to give equal opportunity of hearing to A. A has to be given a chance to present its side. Hear the other party or give the other party a fair hearing. A fair choice should be given to C. You can to A. A cannot be taken directly to the jail, to the imprisonment. He cannot be given directly the law of imprisonment or the verdict of imprisonment. The facts and why A has murdered B, all these things should be heard from A. And reasoned decisions are rules of natural justice. If A had the reason that B had done something wrong and B was trying to attack A, and A in self-defense killed B, then this reason has to be heard. And all these reasons should be mentioned, should be written down while taking the case. Right? These are the rules of natural justice, that a reason should be given and any person cannot fight their own case, cannot be the judge of their own case. Right? And they have to give the other party a fair chance of hearing. They should be given a fair chance of speaking for themselves. A opportunity should be given to be heard. A judgment can override or alter a common law, but it cannot override or change the statute. A judgment that is passed can override or alter the common law. Suppose Supreme Court gave the judgment that in rape cases there has to be 7 years of imprisonment. But they saw another rape case which was worse than this, and they changed this 7 years to 10 years. Right? So they can change or alter. The judgment can override or alter the common law. If a judgment is passed, that can override, that can succeed the earlier passed law, and it can change that statement or change that judgment, but it cannot change the statute. If in constitution it is said that you cannot punish someone beyond 8 years, you cannot give 10 years of punishment. You have to give maximum of 8 years. You cannot go beyond 8 years, right? If they have mentioned that 8 years is the maximum number of imprisonment, you cannot give someone more than 8 years, right? You cannot override or change the statute. Judgment can be changed. 7 years was the punishment, it became to 10 years, but it came out to be 10 years, but it cannot exceed 8 years. Because in the Indian constitution, in the statute, it has been written that imprisonment for rape cases is maximum 8 years, right? So it cannot exceed 8 years. You cannot override or change the statute. I hope we are clear till types of laws. There are 4 types of laws which we discussed here in detail, which were criminal law, civil law, common law, and principle of natural justice. I hope we are clear till here, right? We are clear till types of laws, sources of laws, and we further saw how the process is there of making a law, right? I hope we are all clear till this point. Enforcing the law. Now, after a law is passed in the parliament, it has to be enforced. Like we saw that it has to be published in the official gazette. A bill becomes a law when it has been given the assent by the president. It has been approved by both the houses of parliament. Now, how this law will come into force, how it is going to be applied, this is the job of the executive department or the executive system of our nation, right? Let's see what they have mentioned. After a law is passed in parliament, it has to be enforced. Somebody should monitor. Monitor, the important word here is monitoring the law, it is being followed. Law is made to avoid the wastage of water. So such law should be followed, and if people are following or not, this should be monitored. So monitoring this system is the responsibility of the executive department. This is a job of the executive department. Depending on whether the law is central or state law, the central government or state government will be enforcing authority. They'll be appointing the authority who are going to check, who are going to monitor whether these laws made by the central or state government are being applied, are being followed. This is to be checked, right? Now, for this purpose, government functions are distributed into various ministries. For this, what they do is they distribute the government functions into various ministries. Ministries are Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Home Affairs, Law, and Justice, right? These are some of the ministries, and there are many more ministries coming your way, right? Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Law and Justice, and there are many more ministries, right? These ministries are headed by minister. A minister is the head of the ministries and run by officers. Officers are going to run this ministries of the Indian administrative and other services. Now, Government of India exercises its executive powers executive authority through a number of government ministries or department of states. There are n number of government ministries. For setting up the water resources, there is going to be a ministry. Then for the waste management, there is going to be a ministry. And for the laws to be followed, there will be another ministry. For checking on the finances, there is Ministry of Finance, right? There are n number of ministries available. Government of India exercises its executive powers through a number of government ministries or departments of state. Like states will have their separate departments: revenue department, recovery department, collection department, then their expense departments. They have various departments in the state. Ministry is composed of employed officials. There are civil servants or government servants. You might have heard this word earlier: civil servants or government servants. Police is a department. So the people who are working as a police or as a havaldar over there, as a IPS over there, these are all under civil servants. They are all under the police department, and these are all civil servants, right? And they are politically accountable through a minister. A minister is there above them, through which they are accountable, through which they are answerable. Most major ministries are headed by a cabinet minister. Cabinet minister is one who sits in the Union Council of Ministers. He is the head of the ministries. Majorly, cabinet minister is the one who is the head of ministry and is typically supported by a team of junior ministers. There are state ministers below him: cabinet minister, and then we have state ministers or junior ministers. Okay. For example, the Income Tax Act is implemented and enforced by a Ministry of Finance. Income Tax Act comes under, IT Act comes under Ministry of Finance, right? Through the Central Board for Direct Taxes. Central Board for Direct Taxes, coming under the Department of Revenue. Now, they are under the Department of Revenue and is administered by officers of Indian Revenue Services. See, how the hierarchy works is, they are under the Ministry of Finance, right? They are under Ministry of Finance, right? Below this, Income Tax Act is governed under the Ministry of Finance through CBDT, Central Board of Direct Taxes. This board contains various departments, and their revenue department is there. And in the revenue department, there will be number of officers who are going to collect the revenue from the general public whose income is liable to tax. Okay, we'll be seeing all the major ministries and the laws which are enforced by them. Let's go further and see Ministry of Finance. Now, talking about Ministry of Finance, or you might have heard this word, Vitt Mantralay. Vitt Mantralay, that is the Finance Ministry. Okay, Ministry of Finance, Vitt Mantralay, they have said. It's a ministry within the government of India concerned with economy of India. What is the major thing over here? Economy of India. Serving as the treasury of India, where all the money of India comes in. It is under the Ministry of Finance. In particular, it concerns itself with taxation, financial legislation, financial institutions, your banks, your loan providing facilities, capital markets, stock market, center and state finances, and the union budget. There is taxation, then you have your financial legislation, then you have your financial institution, you have your capital market, that is your share market, center and state finances, all the money that is given to center and state, and the union budget presented on 1st of February each year, right? As a chartered accountant, many of your day-to-day work life will be impacted by Ministry of Finance and its proclamation. We being the we when will be chartered accountants, we have to see that what are changes in Ministry of Finance, how it is going to impact our functioning. All is dependent on ministry, right? Whatever changes, reforms they bring in, it is important for us to know. This ministry is so important that many ministers have preferred to hold the portfolio of finance minister also. One of the important functions of finance ministry is the presentation of the union budget. On 1st of February each year, union budget is presented. So, major function or the most important function of Ministry of Finance is to present the union budget. Annual event is eagerly waited by professionals and common man as it provides for rates of taxes and budget allocations for the ensuring year. All the people on 1st of February are glued to their TV screens to see what all things are given under the budget. What are the benefits given to the common man? What all things now us chartered accountants have to keep in mind while performing the things, while filing the returns, while doing the proceedings, helping the clients. All these things we need to keep in mind. What are changes in tax rates, slab rate changes, all these things will be seen, and how much money is allocated to which type of department. Suppose for electricity or solar they have given 50,000 crores, so how much amount is being invested, what are the expected results for education if they are spending, for cleaning they are spending, cleaning the Ganga river if they are spending, how it is allocated, all these things are to be taken care of. And Ministry of Finance has this important task, is assigned with this important task of presentation of union budget. Okay, I hope we are clear with Ministry of Finance. It is the Treasury of India. It is concerned with economy of India, and it includes taxation, financial legislation, financial institution, capital markets, center and state finances, and union budget. These are all the key points you need to remember. We have underlined over here. I hope you guys are underlining along with me. Now, there's one question for us. Who presented the maximum number of union budgets as the finance minister? Shri Moraji Desai, during his stint as finance minister between 1962 and 1969, has presented 10 union budgets. 1962 to 1969 was their term, and they presented 10 union budget, making it highest. The next on the list is Shri P. Chidambaram. We might have heard this name very commonly, and they presented 9, followed by Shri Pranav Mukherjee, who presented 8 union budgets, and Shri Yashwant Sinha and Dr. Manmohan Singh have presented 8 and 6 budgets respectively. They can ask you in any of the MCQs. You need to remember, highest was presented by Shri Moraji Desai, that is 10 union budgets, followed by Shri P. Chidambaram, who presented around 9 budgets. Okay. I hope Ministry of Finance is clear to you people. Let's move ahead to the next ministry. Now, let's see Constitution of Ministry of Finance. We need to know who are the people in the Ministry of Finance also. Now, Ministry of Finance is the apex controlling authority of 4 central civil services. Apex, that is the highest, is controlling 4 civil services. One is Indian Revenue System, Indian Audit and Accounts, Indian Audit and Account Services. Then we have Indian Audit and Account Services. Then we have Indian Economic Services. And the last one we have Indian Civil Account Services. These are all the 4 central civil services which are controlled by Ministry of Finance. Also, it's the apex controlling authority of Central Commerce Services, namely Indian Cost and Management Account Services. Central Commerce, all the trade and commerce services are under the Ministry of Finance. We need to just remember this. 4 civil services: Indian Revenue Services, Indian Audit and Account Service, Indian Economic Service, and Indian Civil Account Service. How much amount is allocated in all? What is the revenue generated? Audits done of the government, of the all the authorities, all the organizations, companies, small LLPs, individuals present in the India. All these come under the Ministry of Finance. Okay. Now, departments under Ministry of Finance. There are various departments under Ministry of Finance. Let's just take a look at Ministry of Finance for once. This is how the Ministry of Finance website looks like, Department of Financial Services. They give an overview about how they are, meet the ministers, the finance minister of India. We all are well aware Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman is our finance minister. We can see that from here. We see the organizational chart. What are the how is the structure of the Ministry of Finance? We can see the banking, insurance, pension reform, services, laws made, acts and rules given, all these things you can see. financial inclusions, public financial inclusions, Indian infrastructure, export import, wherever revenue and the development, money related, all the things come under Ministry of Finance that they have set. You can anytime check this website and you'll get to know about how the how the departments are divided in Ministry of Finance, right? Now, you can see this is a chart given by organizational chart that they have given directors, then sub-directors, how the things function. Then they have given you welfare, reservation, banking operations, insurance, media, industrial finances. All these departments have been given. Organization chart has been given by them. Okay. Now, who's who? Here also you can see the names of the people, private secretary to financial minister, additional private secretary, then under secretary, PPS, all these things you can get to know. You have their contact numbers given over here. All these things are mentioned in the on the website. Any designation you want to see, you can see Office of the Joint Secretaries if we want to see. Here we can get the details of Joint Secretary. So Joint Secretary of India, Samir Shukla sir. And then if you want to check any of the national services, like you want to see the advisors or under secretary, joint directors, finance ministers, all these departments you can have the access over here, right? Related to Ministry of Finance. I hope this one is clear. The page is clear for you people, right? Let's get back to our study. Department of Ministry of Finance, Department of Economic Affairs, all the changes in the economy, what are the changes in demand supply, these things are dealt by Department of Economic Affairs. Department of Economic Affairs deals with what all things are changing in the economy, requirements of Indian economy, how the people are responsive and to the changes that we have done, what are all policies, regulations to be formulated for the better economy, Indian economy, are given under Department of Economic Affairs, right? Then Department of Expenditure. In the budget, they give us some amount which is distributed to various departments. Suppose road construction department, right? Road construction department, they are given the revenue of 10,000 crore. They are given an expenditure. They are given the amount. How these 10,000 crores are spent by them, in what areas, in what duration they have spent, all these things are checked by Department of Expenditure, right? Then we have Department of Revenue. In Department of Revenue comes your Goods and Service Department, your GST and income tax, stamp duty, wealth tax, all these things come under Department of Revenue. Your entertainment tax comes under Department of Revenue, right? VAT is being levied at certain places, that comes under this. Excise is being levied on certain goods, that comes under this. Customs, when goods are exported or imported, that is also taken care under Department of Revenue. Export, import, all these things also come under Department of Revenue. How the money is being collected from the people, that comes under Department of Revenue. Then Department of Financial Services, for the banks and all regulations have been provided. RBI is there. RBI comes under Department of Revenue. The Department of Department of Financial Services, right? Then your stock market, your SEBI, where the stocks are exchanged, that also comes under Department of Financial Services. Then comes Department of Investment and Public Asset Management. Here you see how the money of the people is there. RBI, SEBI, impacts of it, and wherever the people are saving the money is also taken care under Department of Investment and Public Asset Management. You might have heard about government bonds, sovereign bonds, gold bonds. All these things are investment by the people, and how the other government companies, how they're investing, how the assets are being managed by the public, that also comes under the Ministry of Finance, under the Department of Investment and Public Asset Management. Then we have Department of Public Enterprises. All the issues dealt by the public enterprises are dealt under Department of Public Enterprises. Like public company, you might have read about this earlier, public company and private company. So the companies where government is having the major stakeholdings, if there are any issues, there are any resolutions, or if the money is to be allocated, it is done under Department of Public Enterprises. I hope the departments of Ministry of Finance are clear. Department of Economic Affairs, Department of Expenditure, Department of Revenue, Department of Financial Services, Department of Investment and Public Asset Management, Department of Public Enterprises. I hope all these departments are clear what their roles are. In short, I have explained you this. We have also seen the Ministry of Finance website, how things work over there. We have also seen that, right? Now, let me take you to the next ministry, which is Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Okay, give me 1 second. I'll just take you to Ministry of Corporate Affairs. I hope it is, yeah. Let's go to Ministry. Yes, there you go. This is the website of MCA, commonly known, and companies use this because all the corporate services, company services are being provided through here, right? About MCA, we'll see a little what they have given. Roles and responsibilities, what MCA does. All the filings of the company's proceedings are done on the MCA website. My workspace, here you can see you can enter the company's login ID, password, and all the services related to the company are given over. What all things the MCA website offers is given. You can check any company's name. You can find their CIM. You can see the incorporation, when the company was incorporated, how much they are complying. Are they filing their returns on time or not? All these things you can see. What approvals are there? Changing the company information someone wants to do, they can do it from here. Charge management, how much loans they have taken. All these things are visible from here. DIN is something which is the directors. We'll be learning in the company's chapter. DIN is a number allocated for director. As you people who are registered under ICAI, you have your WRO number, student registration number, WRO number. That is your registration number. Same way, directors have their DIN, director identification number. Then things are now uploaded through DSC. So how you acquire a DSC, update a DSC, all these things are there. Filing of the returns, forms are given on the website. Documents related, all these services are given. How we can get the certified documents, public documents, if are some open documents are there, how you can view them. All these things are given. If you want to raise a complaint, you can raise a complaint also over here. I hope we are clear with Ministry of Corporate Affairs website. Here data and reports are there. If you want annual report of any company, you can check over here, right? You need to mention the company LLP information, and then you can get the data from here. Now, companies and LLPs registered in January 2024. If you want, you can see what all companies and what all LLPs have registered. You can check them from this website. Let's just check one of them so that you get an idea how data on MCA is uploaded and how we can view them. Now, these are some of the companies which have been incorporated in January 2024. Right, in January 2024, these are the foreign companies incorporated: Koppel Corporation, Regulators, OSCF, Danichi, and then Shira Water and Pozion. Then LLP companies. These are the LLP companies which have opened in 2024. So you can see the list is long. On 1st of January only, we can see n number of companies registering. 5,276 companies have registered entirely in the month of January, right? Then we see the Indian companies, how many Indian companies have registered. And there are 14,327 Indian companies registered in the entire month of January. And this count goes on, right? All these information you can get from the website, MCA website. I hope we are clear with how the Ministry of Corporate Affairs website looks and how it is functioning, right? Now let's see what it is. Actually, we just saw how the website is, but we need to know what is Ministry of Corporate Affairs, how it works, and what all things it does, right? Now, let's just zoom in a little. Now, Ministry of Corporate Affairs is an Indian government ministry. primarily concerned with administration of the Companies Act. As I told you, Companies Act 2013 we are going to learn. It is governed by MCA. MCA is the governing body now. And the LLP Act, which is something which we are also going to learn in our CA Foundation course, LLP Act. And there is one more, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. This is also taken under MCA. This you are going to learn in your CA final, right? It is responsible mainly for regulation of Indian enterprises, industries, and service sectors. All the Indian organizations, also the foreign companies are under this. So, all the enterprises registered in India under the Companies Act, under the LLP Act, and under the Insolvency Bankruptcy Code, what all proceedings are there, all these are dealt by Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Mostly run by civil servants, the ICLS cadre. These officers are elected to civil service examinations. You might have heard UPSC, right? These are examinations, or I'm from Maharashtra, so we hear MPSC over here. All these type of civil services examinations are given, where you can see these officers are elected. The highest post is Director General of Corporate Affairs, DGCOA, and he is the apex scale, right? This is the apex scale fixed for them. This is the highest officer, Director General of Corporate Affairs. Okay, I hope Ministry of Corporate Affairs is clear to you people. Then coming to Ministry of Home Affairs. Now, not our homes, this is not related to our home affairs, right? It is a ministry of Government of India. As an interior ministry of India, it is mainly responsible for the maintenance of internal security. It is responsible for the maintenance of Indian security and domestic policies. You might have heard the Indian Army, the Navy, the Air Force, all these comes under Ministry of Home Affairs, Griha Mantralaya. Security inside the nation is taken care by Ministry of Home Affairs. Home Ministry is headed by Union Minister of Home Affairs. Union Minister of Home Affairs is the one who is going to head the Home Ministry, right? Ministry of Home Affairs. Let's see the MHA website that will help us. Yes, there you go. These are all the internal security related and internal domestic policies. Now, see departments of MHA, right? Departments of Border Management, departments of Internal Security, Jammu Kashmir Department. All these various types of departments are there for internal security, and Department of States, Departments of Home. All these come under Department of Ministry of Home Affairs. Okay, I hope departments picture is clear from here. We'll be seeing all of this. Division of MHA. Now, it is divided into categories. Administration division, people who are going to see the everyday functioning of the India, that come under administration division. Border management division 1 and 2, border related services, all those changes that are to be done, all the policies that are to be done, what all decisions are to be taken, goes under border management. Center state division, which things are to be given to center, which things are given to be to the state. This division is done under Ministry of Home Affairs, and all these divisions are given. Finance division is there, Northeast division, foreign companies coming, security of the people of India, how the policies are to be secured, people are to be secured, women safety. All these divisions are given under MH, right? Now, what all things it does? It answers the questions to Parliament, settles the dispute, gives arms license to the people over there. Now, the police officers, they are given the license through Ministry of Home Affairs. Indian citizenship, if someone wants to apply for the citizenship, they have to apply through the Ministry of Home Affairs portal. Online ID card is generated through this. Padma awards, if are to be given, this is also done through Ministry of Home Affairs, right? I hope these all things are clear to you people. The website, how it functions, we have just seen a exam. Now, as we already saw the names of a Department of Ministry Affairs, we'll just take a quick look into this. Department of Border Management, Department of States, Department of Internal Security, Department of Jammu Kashmir and Ladakh Affairs, Department of Home, Department of Official Language, and Department of States. These are few departments of Ministry of Home Affairs. Border management we discussed, internal security, the police and etc. departments come under this. Department of Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh, all the fights or wars that are going to be taken care of, the people who are there, the soldiers that are there, come under this department. Department of Home, all the home ministry affairs, the decisions to be taken for the nation are under Department of Home. Department of Official Language, what official language the documents are to be published, how it is going to work, all this is taken care under Department of Official Language. And the states have their different departments, so that is one, Department of States. I hope Ministry of Affairs, this is also very clear to you people. Right, let's proceed further. Department of Official Language, they have further given few more things to be discussed over here. Central Translation Bureau. There will be a Central Translation Bureau where the things will be translated into the regional language for the people living over there. Right? Central Hindi Training Institute. People who have come from outside and they are not aware, or some officers specifically living in a state but they do not know Hindi language, training is provided to them. And Directorate of Census Operation, the counting and the people population census operation etc. is also done over here. How many languages are there and what is the number of population speaking those languages, all these things are taken care by Director of Census Operation. I hope we are clear till here. Okay, now we'll see the next department, next ministry, that is Ministry of Law and Justice. It is Ministry of Law and Justice in the Government of India is a cabinet ministry. It deals with management of legal affairs. They have to follow all the laws, rules and regulations the people are following or not. All this is checked by Ministry of Law and Affairs, right? Let's see what they have given. Is in the Ministry of Law and Justice in the Indian government of India is a cabinet ministry, deals with management of legal affairs through legislative department. All the legal affairs should be managed. So legislative department are the people who are going to do the law related things, the courts, etc. Legislative activities through Department of Legal Affairs. If you have followed the rules and regulations, you have filed the returns on time, all these things are taken care of. Administration of Justice in India through Department of Justice, right? These are the three departments, how they are divided. Then, Department of Legal Affairs is concerned with advising various ministry of central government. This department, Department of Legal Affairs, which we are going to discuss further, it is concerned with advising the various ministries of the central government with legislative manners, while the legislative department is concerned with drafting of principal legislation for the central government. What all laws are going to be implemented by the central government are drafted by the legislative department, and Department of Legal Affairs are going to give the advice to the central government. And then we have Department of Justice, which is going to look for what all judgments have been given by the people, by the judges for the people, are they correct or not, and are they after considering all the facts of the case, all the proceedings that have been done are rightfully done. All this is taken care by Department of Justice. Okay, let's also visit the website of Ministry of Law and Justice so that we are clear about it. This is how Ministry of Law and Justice looks. You see, we always have the Swachh Bharat symbol. We are promoting this. We are always striving on the principle that we should be keeping our cities clean and our society clean. Right? Now, about the ministry, let's see few of it. Composition of the ministry, as I told you, Department of Legal Affairs, the courts, etc. come under here. Legislative department, the parliament, etc. And Department of Justice, your Supreme Court comes over here, right? Ministry of Law and Justice consists of three departments, namely Legislative Department, Department of Legal Affairs and Justice. We saw this. Is concerned with advising the ministries with the, while the Legislative Department is concerned with drafting the principal legislation. India Code, which consists of laws enacted from the previous century and which are in force in the territory of India, are available on the net. So you can see that whenever you want all the codes or laws, if you want to read, you can check them on the internet, right? They have given, this is the oldest limb of the Indian government dating from 1833, right? When we were under the British rule, from that time, Ministry of Law and Justice is in force. I hope we are clear this with the website. Yes. So, Department of Ministry of Law and Justice consists of the Department of Legal Affairs, Legislative Department, and Department of Justice. Legal Affairs giving the advices to the central government, and the principal legislation drafting is done for the central government by the Legislative Department. Okay, I hope we are clear till here. Legislative Department and Department of Legal Affairs. We are very clear with the three departments of Ministry of Law and Justice. Then we'll be seeing SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India. We might have heard this word many of times, right? Now, it is the regulatory body for securities and commodity market in India. When you want to trade the shares, the securities, mutual funds, etc., all these comes under Security and Exchange Board of India, under the ownership of Ministry of Finance within the Government of India. This is also under Ministry of Finance, established on 12th April 1988. This is to be remembered. SEBI was established on 12th April 1988 and as an executive body and was given statutory powers. Statutory powers were given on 30th of January 1992 through SEBI Act 1992. Then they formulated their act, and that was called as SEBI Act 1992, right? SEBI is clear, one who regulates the securities and commodity market in India. Your stock exchanges, these markets are regulated through SEBI. RBI, Reserve Bank of India, the major or the apex bank for India is RBI, right? All the banks that you see come under RBI. Your Central Bank, State Bank of India, Central Bank of India, Kotak Bank of India, Kotak Bank, HDFC Bank, all these banks come under Reserve Bank of India, right? It is India's central and regulatory body responsible for regulation of Indian banking system. It is the one responsible for regulating the Indian banking system. And it is also under the ownership of Ministry of Finance, responsible to control and issue maintaining supply of Indian rupee. How much money is to be issued, what number of currencies are to be printed, how we are going to maintain the supply, which banks are to be given the money. All these is the responsibility of RBI. It also manages the country's main payment system and works to promote its economic development. Main payment system, all the payments that are to be done to the respective departments, banks, etc., is taken care by the RBI. Bharatiya Reserve Bank Note Mudran is a specialized division of RBI through which it prints and mints Indian currency in two of its currency printing presses located in Nasik, Western India, and Dewas, Central India. RBI has formulated BRBNM, that is Bharatiya Reserve Banknote Mudran, where the printing and supply of the Indian currency happens, and the presses, the printing presses of the currency are located in two places, in Nasik in the western of India and Devas, that is the central of India. RBI established the National Payments Corporation of India as one of its special division to regulate the payment. RBI has one more department, that is a National Payments Corporation. Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation was established by RBI as one of its specialized division for the purpose of providing insurance of deposits and guaranteeing of credit facilities to all Indian banks. Now, if you want to take the loans, if you want to take the insurance, you want to invest your money in the insurance, all this is taken care by Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation. The banks provide you the credits, they give you the loans, etc. So this is all done by the Credit Guarantee of India. Okay, I hope we are clear with RBI also, right? Yeah. Then we have Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. As we dealt earlier, that Ministry of Corporate Affairs looks into matters of the Companies Act 2013, Limited Liability Partnership Act, and Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. So similar one, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. This law is governed under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India, right? Now, let's see what is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board. It is the regulator for overseeing insolvency proceedings. Some company or some person does not have money to pay to the government or to pay to the person from whom he has borrowed the money. Then that person, when the business does not have any money, the business is facing losses, this comes under insolvency. For this, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India is made, where there are professionals and there are agencies which are going to get the amount recovered from whatever business is left, whatever assets of the company are left. They are going to get the amount and pay it to the people in a sequence, right? All these things are given to you in CA final. We'll be just discussing about Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. Is regulator of overseeing insolvency proceedings, whatever proceedings are to be done when a person becomes insolvent. Insolvent means when the amount of money that is there which one has to repay is not available or is insufficient with a person. That is, by we can say loss is greater than the amount you want to pay, right? You have heard liability and assets. Liability is greater than asset, then that person becomes insolvent, right? That is when a person becomes insolvent, when he does not have enough assets to pay off the liabilities, to pay off the debts, person becomes insolvent. So all these insolvency proceedings, how the money is to be recovered, who is going to be paid the first, all these things are taken care in the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India, right? Now, for this, they have insolvency professional agencies, insolvency professionals. We chartered accountants also become insolvency professionals after clearing their examination that they have, and you can also become an insolvency professional. And information utilities, IU in India. There are some information utilities which are set up for gathering all the information of the companies that are governed under Ministry of Finance. It was established on 1st of October 2016 and given statutory powers through Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, which was passed by Lok Sabha on 5th of May 2016. So they got the statutory powers on 5th of May 2016, right? It covers individuals, companies, and limited liability partnerships and partnership firms. New code will speed up the resolution process for stressed assets in the country. Those people who are facing the problems of insolvent people. So these all things will be speeded up and it will be given better or faster resolution. It attempts to simplify the process of insolvency and bankruptcy code. IBBI, this Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India, was set up to simplify the process, to make the process easy for them, and this proceeding should get completed fast. That's why it was set up. It handles the cases using tribunals like NCLT and debt recovery tribunal. There are tribunals set up where we have seen the court set up. Similar way, tribunals have been set up. For IBBI or the insolvency cases, there are two tribunals set up, which is NCLT, National Company Law Tribunal, and Debt Recovery Tribunal. These are the tribunals which will be handling all the cases, giving the resolution and providing the people with money. I hope we are clear with RBI and IBBI also. Okay, now let's see what is the structure of our judicial system. When there is a dispute between citizens or between citizens and the government, these disputes are resolved by the judiciary. As I told you, when someone gets into dispute, they just say, I'll see you in the court. Why? The court is our judicial system. Whenever there's a dispute between citizens of the India or citizens and the government of India, they say, I'll take you to the court, I'll sue you, right? All these things we have heard because they are believing on our judiciary system. Now, our judiciary system has certain functions, which is regulation of the interpretation of the acts and codes. Whatever acts and codes have been prepared, laws have been prepared, these are all being followed, regulated. This comes under the Indian judiciary system's function. Dispute resolution, when there are disputes, they have to give the solution. Promotion of fairness among the citizens of the land. They have to promote the fairness. That means all the people are being treated equally. All these points are to be taken care by the Indian judiciary system. Now, as I told you earlier also, our apex court is the Supreme Court, right? Supreme Court is our apex court, followed by the High Court. High courts are there in each state. Then under High Courts, we have metropolitan courts, including civil metropolitan courts and criminal metropolitan courts. There, city civil courts, courts of smaller causes. When the small disputes are there, they have smaller cause court. Criminal courts, then they'll have session courts, and below this they have chief metropolitan court, and below this they have metropolitan magistrate courts. So these magistrate courts are the first one which we resolve, which we go for the solution, metropolitan magistrate courts. If the case is not satisfied in the metropolitan magistrate courts, you can go ahead to chief metropolitan courts, and if there also the things don't work out, then you can go to session courts. Then if session courts don't work out, you can go to metropolitan courts, and there you'll go to high court, right? District and session courts. Under high courts, there are district and session courts also. District and session courts are again divided into civil and criminal. Then district court are there under the civil, and under criminal, again we have session courts. Under district court, we have sub courts or the senior civil judges. Senior civil judges hear your proceedings and give you the judgment. That is under sub courts. Principal junior civil judge court. Principal junior civil judge will hear your problems and give you solution. Then we have munsif courts, district munsif or junior civil judge. Junior civil judges are over here. The proceedings will be taken from junior civil judge. It will go to principal junior civil judge. Then it will go to senior. As we used to hear in 11th, 12th college or in the school times, junior, senior. So junior civil judge, then principal junior, that is higher than the junior, 11th standard, 12th standard. That way you can understand. Senior civil judge, district judge, and if that also didn't work, you can go to the high court, right? Coming in the civil. This was in the civil. Now coming back to criminal, we can see we have session courts as it was in the metropolitan courts. Similar way in the districts also we have the session courts. Then we have judicial magistrate court, that is the first class court or the chief judicial magistration. And below this we have judicial magistrate second class. Judicial magistrate second class courts. So this is the structure of the Indian judicial system. This is a hierarchy of courts, right? There are many courts over here, and this is the hierarchy which is followed, right? And Supreme Court is the topmost court or the apex court of India. Let's see each one of them. In the hierarchy of courts, the Supreme Court is at the top, followed by the high courts and district courts. Decisions of a high court are binding in the respective state. If a decision is taken in Tamil Nadu High Court, it is going to be binding only on the Tamil Nadu state, but are only persuasive in other states. If other states want to follow, they can follow, but it is not compulsory. But if a decision is given by the Supreme Court, it is binding on all the high courts, all the district courts, and all the metropolitan courts, right? It is binding on all high courts under Article 141. We also learned this, right? And if a word has been given by the Supreme Court, it becomes the final word. If decision has been given, that is final. No changes can be done to the decision given by the Supreme Court, right? Supreme Court is the apex body of the judiciary, the highest body, established on 26 January 1950. Chief Justice of India is the highest authority appointed under Article 126. Chief Justice of India is the one who is going to lead the Supreme Court, appointed under Article 126. They can ask you, just mark it down. Principal bench of the Supreme Court consists of 7 members. There are 7 members in the bench, including Chief Justice of India. Presently, the number has increased to 34, including the Chief Justice of India, due to rise in number of cases. We see in India, the people say, I'll see you in court, and the cases rise every day. The workload is too much. So, the number of bench members have been increased from 7 to 34. An individual can seek relief in the Supreme Court by writing a writ petition under Article 32. You have to remember this. Under Article 32, you can file a writ petition in under the Supreme Court. Okay. Then we have the High Court. The highest court of appeal in each state. In each state, you can highest apply to High Court. And if High Court resolution you don't like it, you can appeal against it in the Supreme Court. And the Union Territory also have the High Court. Article 214 of Indian Constitution states that there must be a High Court in each state. For each state, there must be one High Court. High Court has appellant, original jurisdiction and supervisory jurisdiction. High Court has appellant. You can appeal in the High Court. Original cases, the cases which are directly of the High Court level, you can take it to High Court, and it has to supervise what all decisions, what all judgments are given in the other courts, the lower courts, district courts, state courts, session courts, the metropolitan courts. All these is to be supervised also. However, Article 227 of the Indian Constitution limits High Court's supervisory powers. They don't have all the powers, but they have limited powers. In India, there are 25 High Courts. How many High Courts are there? 25 High Courts are there in India. One for each state and union territory, and one for and 6 states share a single High Court. There are 6 states which share one single High Court. Okay, 6 states share the one single High Court. They don't have their separate High Courts, right? They have only one High Court. An individual can seek remedies against violation of fundamental human rights. If some of your fundamental rights have been violated, right to live, right to freedom of speech, all these things have been violated, you can file an appeal, file a writ petition under Article 226 to the High Court. Okay. Now, district court. District court. Below the high courts are district court. In whichever district you are living, you see there is a district court. The courts of district judge deal with civil law matters. They don't deal with criminal. They deal with only civil law matters. And the court of sessions deal with the criminal matters. Criminal matters, we have session courts we saw in the chart. And for this, district judges deal with the civil laws. Right, that is contractual disputes, claim for damages. If someone has damaged your car or anything, you can claim for damages under court of district judges. Under pecuniary jurisdiction, a civil judge can try suits valuing not more than rupees 2 crore. If the amount exceeds 2 crore, you cannot file an appeal, or you cannot file your case under district court. You have to go to the high court then. Okay. Jurisdiction means the power to control. It has only the power of controlling to cases up to 2 crore rupees. Courts get the territorial jurisdiction based on the areas covered by them. If you are living in your particular district, so the jurisdiction has been given for the cases that are covered only in your district. If the neighboring district has any dispute, they can't come to your district and file the case in the district court. They have to file it in their own district, right? Cases are decided based on local limits within which the parties reside or the property under dispute is situated. As I explained you, if you are citizen of one district, there only you can file the appeal, or you can get your case registered. In the other district, you can't get it registered, right? Metropolitan courts are established in metropolitan cities in consultation with High Court. High Court is the one who is going to guide them, present them. Where the population is 10 lakh or more. Where the population is 10 lakh or more, there only metropolitan courts have been set up. Chief Metropolitan Magistrate has the power as Chief Judicial Magistrate, and Metropolitan Magistrate has the powers as the Court of Magistrate of first class. They have said Chief Metropolitan Magistrate has the same powers as the Chief Judicial Magistrate, and Metropolitan Magistrate has the same powers as the Court of Magistrate of first class. We have seen this in the structure. I hope you have recalled that, right? One fun fact they have told us, that which is one of the oldest high court in India, which was Calcutta High Court, established on 2nd July 1862. Way too back this was established. Calcutta High Court on 2nd July 1862. Right. So we covered the judicial system, district courts, high court, Supreme Court, metropolitan courts. We have covered that. And then we saw the RBI, IBBI, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Home Affairs, Ministry of Department of Official Language, Ministry of Law and Justice, Ministry of Finance. All these things we saw. Then we saw how the things are governed, how the law is enforced. We saw that. We covered that in the session, right? I hope this is clear to you all. Let's see some questions. These are for your practice, and we'll be discussing them now in the class. A chartered accountant should be aware of law because he has to be an expert in law. He has to argue in High Court and Supreme Court. He has to advise management and clients on legal matters. What do you think should be the answer for this? We have to be expert in law to advise management and clients on legal matters at a basic or threshold level. We should just be able to explain them, right? Now, which of the following is not a main source of law? So we saw parliament is the main source of law, state assembly is main sources of law, and the constitution is. So which is not legal texts, legal textbooks. In India, we follow the federal system of government. This means all the power is with the president. Powers are distributed with the central and state. All the powers is between center, and there are no restrictions to the power of state. So we have learned that the power is distributed between center and states. Constitution of India, when was it adopted? 1950. Income tax is a part of central list, state list, joint list, or none of the above. We have learned this. It is the part of central list, right? It is the part of central list. The law concerned with violation of rule of law and punishment of the same is called as violation of rule of law and punishment. Punishment is only given in criminal law. Civil law, there is no punishment given, right? Which of these is not an example of civil law? Breach of contract, example of civil law. Non-delivery of goods, example of civil law. Non-payment of dues, example of civil law. Traffic offenses, this is not an example of civil law. Okay. So our option is 7's answer is C, right? For 7, it is C. When a law is proposed in parliament, it is proposed only. It has not been come into force. So it is only bill. 8 is also C, right? I hope we are clear till here. 8 is C and 7 is C. Now, which of the following is not a department of Ministry of Finance? We saw economic affairs is, expenditure is, Department of Economic Affairs, expenditure, states and revenue. Which one is not? Department of Revenue is there. Department of States comes under this, or Department of States comes under Ministry of Home Affairs. So this is not a department of Ministry of Finance. 9 is also C, right? Then courts get territorial limits based on, territorial limits means how much territory only they can see. The local limits within which the party resides, the local limits within which the property under dispute is located. We saw in the last one only here that both should be there, right? We saw over here the courts cases are decided based on local limits within which the parties reside or the properties under dispute are situated. There is or. Let's see when option with or is given. Yes, so we have option number C where or is given, either A or B, and is not the correct answer. They can confuse you by giving you an option of either A and B, but we have to be careful. It should be or. We have read the provisions, it is or. Okay. I hope chapter number 1 is very clear to you people, and you are well aware of how these things are to be considered. You will go through it, the chapter. You will take a thorough reading from your material, and you will be able to understand it better. Okay, that's it for today's class. I hope you have understood all the concepts taught, and do revise all the concepts that were taught today in the class. Thank you. Bye.